She was ignored at the wedding until a stranger billionaire said, "Dance with me." Part 2. Now she's pregnant, and his ex-fiancée wants him back. Isabella Knight stood in the marble bathroom of Alexander's Manhattan penthouse, staring at 3 positive pregnancy tests lined up on the counter. 6 months had passed since that magical week in Santorini, since she'd returned from Greece to ace her presentation and then flew straight back into Alexander's arms. 6 months of building something beautiful, something real, and now this. The bathroom door opened, and Alexander appeared, still in his pajama bottoms, concern etched on his face. "Bella? You've been in here for—" He stopped, seeing the tests. His eyes widened, darting between them and her face. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. For a moment, he stood frozen. Then, in 2 strides, he had her in his arms, lifting her off the ground, spinning her in the small space. "We're having a baby," he breathed against her neck. "We're having a baby." Before Isabella could respond, his phone rang from the bedroom. The ringtone made them both freeze. It was the one he'd assigned to his lawyers. "Let it go to voicemail," Isabella said, but something in Alexander's expression had shifted. He set her down gently and went to answer it. She heard his voice change, becoming cold, businesslike. "When did she arrive?" "No, don't let her into the building. I'll come down." He returned, his face grim. "Victoria's here." Isabella's stomach dropped. Victoria Chen, Alexander's ex-fiancée, the woman who'd left him for someone with a more stable lifestyle 3 years ago, was in the lobby of their building. "What does she want?" "I don't know, but I'm about to find out." He pulled on a shirt. "Stay here. I'll handle this." "Alexander, she doesn't get to disrupt our life. Not today. Not when we just found out." He crossed back to her, cupping her face. "We're having a baby. Nothing else matters." But as he left, Isabella couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Before we continue this incredible next chapter, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. If you're returning from part 1, welcome back. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more emotional love stories. From the penthouse window, Isabella could see the lobby entrance 30 floors below. She watched Alexander emerge, saw a woman in a red coat approach him. Even from this distance, she could see Victoria was everything Isabella wasn't. Tall, elegant, moving with the confidence of someone who'd never been ignored at a wedding or anywhere else. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, Alexander's best friend and business partner. "Heads up. Victoria's been telling everyone she's back to reclaim what's hers. She's got backing from her father's company for some massive deal with Alexander's firm." Before Isabella could respond, another text. "She doesn't know about you. Alexander kept you completely out of the media. She thinks he's still single." Isabella's hand moved to her still flat stomach. This morning she'd been worried about how to tell Alexander. Now she was worried about so much more. 20 minutes later, Alexander returned, his expression thunderous. What did she want? "To inform me she's made a mistake, that leaving was temporary insanity, that she's ready to resume our engagement." She what? Apparently her marriage to Richard Blackstone lasted 18 months before he cheated with his secretary. The divorce was finalized last month, and she's decided I was the one who got away. "What did you tell her?" "That I'm married." Isabella's breath caught. They weren't married. They talked about it, danced around it, but Alexander had wanted to wait until she was ready, until she trusted that he wasn't another Marcus. "You told her we're married?" "I told her I was taken, permanently, irreversibly taken. She didn't believe me." He crossed to Isabella, pulling her against him. "She's irrelevant, a ghost from a past I don't even recognize anymore. She's beautiful. She's cold. She's sophisticated. She's calculating. She knew you before you had walls." "No." Alexander pulled back to look at her. "She's the reason I built walls. You're the reason I tore them down." His phone rang again. This time it was his CFO. "Alex, we have a problem. Chen Industries is threatening to pull their entire investment portfolio if you don't take a meeting with Victoria. That's $3 billion in managed assets." Isabella heard every word in the quiet penthouse. "Then they can pull it," Alexander said. "Alex, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable. Schedule the meeting, but make sure they know my wife will be attending." He hung up and turned to Isabella. "I need you to understand something. There is no amount of money, no deal, no threat that would make me choose anyone or anything over you and our baby." "Our baby," Isabella repeated, the reality hitting her. "Alexander, we haven't even talked about marriage, living arrangements, how many kids we want." He smiled. "Marry me." "What?" "Marry me. Today, now, we'll go to City Hall. Because Victoria's back. Because I've wanted to marry you since Santorini but was trying to be patient. Because you're carrying our child. Because I don't want to spend another day where you're not officially, legally, permanently mine." "That's not exactly a romantic proposal." Alexander dropped to one knee right there in their living room. "Isabella Knight, still more actually. Isabella Moore, who will be knight by sunset if I have anything to say about it. You crashed into my life at your ex's wedding, turned my cold existence into something warm and real, made me believe in love again. You're carrying our child, you make me laugh, you eat pizza in our bed, and you've somehow made my mother actually like you, which is a miracle in itself. Marry me, not because of Victoria or appearances or business, because I love you desperately and want to spend every remaining day of my life proving it. You already proposed, in Santorini, in Portland, and I'll keep proposing until you say yes. I'm pregnant. I noticed. It's perfect. I'm emotional. Also perfect. I might cry at City Hall. I'll bring tissues. Your mother will kill us for not having a proper wedding. We'll have another one, a big one, after the baby when you can drink champagne and dance all night. Alexander, say yes, Bella. Choose me. Choose us. Yes." He was up and spinning her again before the word fully left her mouth. "You mean it?" "I mean it. But Alexander, what about Victoria? What about her? 3 billion in assets is nothing compared to you. We could lose every client, every deal, every dollar, and I'd still be the richest man alive because I have you." 3 hours later, they stood in City Hall. Marcus was their witness, having dropped everything when Alexander called. Isabella wore a simple white dress they'd bought on the way. Alexander was in jeans and the shirt he'd thrown on that morning. "You could have at least worn a suit," Marcus teased. "Isabella's seen me in 1,000 suits. This is us, real, no pretense." The ceremony was simple, the vows traditional, but when Alexander kissed his bride, City Hall erupted in applause from strangers who recognized love when they saw it. "We're married," Isabella whispered against his lips. "Finally. It's been 6 months since we met. 6 months too long." As they were leaving, Isabella's phone rang. It was her mother. "Isabella, I just saw the most interesting thing on Instagram. A photo of you in what looks like a wedding dress at City Hall." "Mom, did you marry that billionaire? The one from Marcus's wedding?" "Yes." Silence. Then, "Good. He looks at you like you hung the moon. When do I get to meet him properly?" "How about next week? We have news." "Oh my God, you're pregnant." "Mom, I knew it. You have that glow in the photos." After Isabella hung up, Alexander was smiling. "She knew?" Mothers always know, apparently. "Speaking of which, I should probably tell mine before she finds out from Instagram." The call to Eleanor Knight went differently. "You did what?" Her voice could have frozen fire. "We got married, Mother. At City Hall, like commoners. Like people in love who didn't want to wait. Victoria called me this morning." "Of course she did." "She said you were having some sort of breakdown, that you'd taken up with a nobody from nowhere." Isabella flinched, but Alexander's hand tightened on hers. "Isabella is my wife. She's also pregnant with your grandchild, so I suggest you adjust your attitude quickly, or you'll be a grandmother who never meets her grandchildren." Silence then. "Pregnant?" "Yes." "How far along?" "About 6 weeks. Come to dinner on Sunday, both of you." After they hung up, Isabella looked worried. She hates me. She doesn't know you. Once she does, she'll love you like I do. No one loves me like you do. True, but she'll come close. They returned to the penthouse to find it full of flowers. Every surface was covered in roses, lilies, peonies. What? I may have asked Marcus to arrange something while we were at City Hall, Alexander admitted. This is something? This is the beginning. We have dinner reservations at 8, the honeymoon suite at the St. Regis tonight, and tomorrow we fly to Paris. Paris? Alexander, I have work, which you can do remotely. I already talked to your clients. You called my clients? I had Marcus call them. Told them you'd be working from Europe for the next 2 weeks due to a family celebration. We can't just fly to Paris. We can and we are, unless you'd prefer Rome, Tokyo, Bali. Alexander, this is our honeymoon, Bella. Our actual honeymoon, and our baby moon, I suppose. Baby moon isn't a thing. It is now. That evening, as they were getting ready for dinner, Alexander's phone rang constantly. He ignored it until Marcus texted, 911, Chen Industries is pulling everything. Victoria's declaring war. Alexander called him back. Let them pull it. Alex, that's 12% of our assets under management. Then we'll find other assets. The board won't be happy. The board can... He looked at Isabella, moderating his language. The board can adjust. I'm not sacrificing my marriage for a manipulative ex. She's telling everyone Isabella is a gold digger, that she got pregnant to trap you. Isabella heard and reached for the phone. Alexander tried to stop her, but she took it anyway. Marcus, this is Isabella. Set up the meeting with Victoria. Bella, Monday morning, full board present. And Marcus, make sure the prenup Alexander insisted I sign is on the table. The one where I get nothing if we divorce. Nothing except our child. She hung up and looked at Alexander. I'm not letting her destroy what we've built. You don't have to fight her. Yes, I do. Because she's not fighting you. She's fighting the idea that someone like me could have someone like you. Someone like you is exactly who should have someone like me. Pretty words, but the business world doesn't run on pretty words. Bella, I know that world, Alexander. Maybe not at your level, but I know how it works. Image matters, perception matters. And right now, the perception is that you've lost your mind over a nobody who baby-trapped you. I don't care what they think. But I do, because our child will grow up in that world, and I won't have him or her growing up with whispers about how mommy caught daddy. Alexander stared at his new wife, seeing the steel beneath her soft exterior. This was the woman who'd walked into her ex's wedding with her head high, who danced when everyone expected her to hide. What are you planning? I'm planning to show Victoria Chen exactly who she's dealing with. Sunday dinner at the Knight Estate was as intimidating as Isabella expected. The mansion in the Hamptons was all old money elegance, portraits of ancestors, crystal chandeliers, staff who moved like ghosts. Eleanor Knight presided over the dining table like a queen, her expression giving nothing away. So, Eleanor said as the first course was served, tell me how you met my son. At a wedding, Isabella replied. My ex-boyfriend's wedding, actually. Eleanor's eyebrow rose. You attended your ex's wedding? I wanted closure, and found my son instead. Your son found me. I was sitting alone, being ignored, and he asked me to dance. How theatrical. Mother, Alexander warned. I'm simply making conversation. Eleanor turned her attention to Isabella. And you're pregnant? 6 weeks? Rather quick. When you know, Alexander said, his hand finding Isabella's under the table. Or when you calculate, Eleanor said coolly. Isabella set down her fork carefully. Mrs. Knight, I signed a prenup that gives me nothing in case of divorce. I have my own business, my own income. I don't need your son's money. Everyone needs money. I need love. Money is just money. Spoken like someone who's never been without it. Actually, Isabella said, her voice steady despite the anger building. Spoken like someone who grew up with a single mother working 3 jobs, who put herself through college with scholarships and night shifts, who built her business from her bedroom with a laptop and determination. I know exactly what it's like to be without money, which is why I know it's not everything. Eleanor was quiet for a moment. My son has $1 billion empire. Your son has a heart that was dying before he remembered how to use it. And you think you're what? His savior? I think we saved each other. Alexander squeezed her hand. Eleanor studied them both, then did something unexpected. She smiled. Just slightly, but it was there. My late husband used to say I had too much pride for my own good, Eleanor said. I'm beginning to think he was right. Welcome to the family, Isabella. The tension broke. The rest of dinner passed more smoothly, though Eleanor couldn't resist occasional pointed questions about wedding plans and baby preparations. We'll have a proper ceremony after the baby is born, Alexander assured her. See that you do. The Knights have a reputation to maintain. The Knights have a new member who'll elevate that reputation, Alexander corrected, looking at Isabella with open adoration. Later, as they were leaving, Eleanor pulled Isabella aside. Victoria called me again today. I'm aware. She seems to think she can persuade Alexander to reconsider his hasty marriage. Good luck to her. She's a formidable opponent. So am I. Eleanor's smile was genuine this time. I'm beginning to see that. Tell me, what do you plan to do at this meeting tomorrow? Show her that some things can't be bought or manipulated. And what things are those? Real love. The kind that doesn't calculate or strategize, the kind that just is. She won't understand that. Victoria only understands transactions. Then she's already lost. Monday morning, Isabella dressed carefully. Not in designer clothes, she refused to play that game. Instead, she wore one of her own designs, a simple but elegant dress that she'd created for her graphic design portfolio. Her portfolio itself was tucked under her arm. The conference room at Knight Industries was intimidating. 50 floors up, windows overlooking Manhattan, a table that could seat 30. Victoria was already there, perfectly coiffed, wearing what Isabella recognized as this season's Chanel. So you're the wedding crasher, Victoria said, not bothering with introductions. I'm Isabella Knight, Alexander's wife. For now. For always, Victoria laughed. Do you have any idea who you're dealing with? I was raised in this world. I understand how it works. You're a temporary distraction. And you're a permanent mistake he's already corrected. Before Victoria could respond, the board members filed in, followed by Alexander and Marcus. Alexander moved immediately to Isabella's side, his hand finding the small of her back. Shall we begin? He said, his voice all business. I think we should, Richard Chen, Victoria's father, said from the head of the table. Alexander, we need to discuss your recent complications. My marriage is not a complication. It's the best decision I've ever made. A marriage to a nobody that's threatening a $3 billion relationship with Chen Industries. Then perhaps Chen Industries' priorities are misaligned. Alexander, be reasonable, another board member said. This is about business. No, Isabella spoke up, surprising everyone. This is about control. Mr. Chen wants leverage over Alexander. Victoria wants a lifestyle she threw away, and you all want to pretend that human beings are chess pieces you can move around your board. Who do you think you are? Richard Chen demanded. I'm the woman who married Alexander Knight. Not his fortune, not his company, him. I'm also the woman carrying his child. And I'm the woman who's going to ask you all a question. When was the last time any of you chose love over profit? Silence filled the room. Because I've spent 6 months watching Alexander transform. He used to work 18-hour days. Now he's home for dinner. He used to measure success in dollars. Now he measures it in laughter. He used to be the ghost of Wall Street, appearing and disappearing. Now he's present, real, alive. That's very touching, Victoria said icily, but it doesn't address the financial reality. You want financial reality? Isabella pulled out her portfolio. This is my company, Brooks Digital Design. I've built it over 5 years, client by client, project by project. Last year's revenue was $800,000. This year's projected revenue is $1.2 million. I don't need Alexander's money because I make my own. She slid the portfolio across to Richard Chen. You think I'm a gold digger? Here's my financial statements, my client list, my growth projections. I'm an entrepreneur just like your daughter. The difference is I didn't need to marry into money to succeed." Victoria's face went pale, then red. "Furthermore," Isabella continued, "I signed a prenup giving me nothing in case of divorce. The only thing I get is custody of our child, which any court would grant anyway. So tell me, Mr. Chen, what exactly am I digging for?" "This is inappropriate," Victoria said. "This meeting is about business relationships. This meeting is about you trying to manipulate Alexander back into your life," Isabella interrupted. "But here's what you don't understand. He doesn't want to be with you, not because of me, but because of who you are. You left him when things got hard. I'm here because things got real." "Alexander," Richard Chen said, "you need to think about the company." "I am thinking about the company," Alexander said, standing, "and I've realized something. A company built on compromising my personal life isn't a company worth having. So, here's my counteroffer. Chen Industries can pull their assets. We'll absorb the loss and rebuild. Or you can accept reality. I'm married, I'm going to be a father, and Victoria will never be my wife again. Your choice." "This is insane," another board member said. "We're talking about billions. We're talking about my life," Alexander said firmly. "And I'm done letting business dictate how I live it. My wife is right. I've spent years measuring success in profits. I'm done. From now on, I measure it in moments, in mornings with Isabella, in our child's first steps, in actually living instead of just existing." "You'd throw everything away for her?" Victoria asked, disbelief in her voice. "I'd throw everything away before I'd throw her away." Marcus stood up. "For what it's worth, the company's been more profitable in the last 6 months than it was all of last year. Alexander's actually focused when he's happy. Revolutionary concept, I know, but happy CEOs make better decisions." "This is ridiculous," Richard Chen said, gathering his papers. "Victoria, we're leaving." But Victoria was staring at Alexander and Isabella, seeing something she'd never quite understood. "You really love her. More than breathing." "I never understood that. When we were together, I thought love was about compatibility, about building something." "Love is about building something," Isabella said, not unkindly. "But you build it with someone who sees you, not your assets. Someone who chooses you, even when you have nothing to offer, but yourself." "I threw away something real for something stable," Victoria said quietly, more to herself than anyone. "You threw away something that wasn't right for you," Alexander corrected. "We weren't in love, Victoria. We were in an arrangement. You deserve someone who makes you feel alive, not just secure, but that someone isn't me." After Victoria and her father left, the remaining board members sat in uncomfortable silence. "So," one of them finally said, "do we have a company or a romantic comedy?" "We have a company run by a man who finally has his priorities straight," Marcus said. "I suggest we trust his judgment. It's made us all very rich so far." The meeting adjourned, but the senior partner, James Wellington, stayed behind. "Alexander, a word." Isabella started to leave, but Wellington stopped her. "You too, Mrs. Knight." They sat back down as Wellington studied them both. "I've known Alexander since he started this company 10 years ago," Wellington said. "I've seen him make brilliant deals and terrible personal decisions. This is the first time I've seen him make a brilliant personal decision." "James, I'm not finished. Victoria was right about one thing. This company is built on relationships, but the strongest relationships are built on authenticity, not manipulation. Mrs. Knight, you showed more spine in 20 minutes than I've seen from most executives in 20 years. We'd be fools to bet against you." "What are you saying?" Isabella asked. "I'm saying Chen Industries isn't the only game in town. I know 3 other firms who'd love to partner with us. Better terms, better fit. Let them walk." After Wellington left, Alexander pulled Isabella into his arms. "You were incredible." "I was terrified. You told off a boardroom full of billionaires while 6 weeks pregnant." "I told off a boardroom full of people who thought they could manipulate us. Our child is going to be unstoppable. Our child is going to be loved. That's better than unstoppable." That evening, back at the penthouse, they finally breathed. Isabella kicked off her shoes and collapsed on the couch. "I can't believe I did that." "I can. You've been doing versions of that since I met you, standing up when everyone expected you to sit down. Victoria looked so sad at the end. She'll be fine. She always lands on her feet. I almost felt sorry for her. That's because you have a good heart. It's one of the 1,000 reasons I love you. Isabella's phone buzzed. It was Sophie. Oh my God, you're all over the business news. Mystery wife defends billionaire against ex. There are photos. Photos? From the lobby. You and Alexander this morning. You look like a power couple. We look like two people who barely slept. You look like you're in love. Also, are those shoes from Target? Yes? I love you even more. You wore Target shoes to face down Victoria Chen. After she hung up, Alexander was grinning. Target shoes. They're comfortable and they were on sale. You're perfect. I'm practical. Same thing in my book. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The media had gotten hold of the story. Billionaire's secret wedding to design entrepreneur. And suddenly Isabella's quiet life was anything but quiet. Her Instagram followers jumped from 800 to 80,000 overnight. Her client list doubled. And every morning she woke up nauseous but happy, Alexander holding her hair back and bringing her crackers. This is very glamorous, she said one morning, her head over the toilet. You're still beautiful. I'm literally throwing up. Beautiful and nauseated. You multitask well. 2 months into the pregnancy, they went for their first ultrasound. Alexander held her hand so tightly she lost feeling in her fingers. There's the heartbeat, the technician said, and the room filled with the rapid thump, thump, thump. Alexander's eyes filled with tears. That's our baby. That's our baby. It's so small. It's 8 weeks old. It's perfect. On the way home, he was quieter than usual. What are you thinking? Isabella asked. That I almost missed this. If you hadn't come to that wedding, if I hadn't been brave enough to ask you to dance, if you hadn't said yes to Santorini, but I did. We did. All of it. What if I mess this up? Being a father. You won't. You don't know that. I know you. I know you'll be the kind of father who shows up, who's present, who loves fiercely. How do you know? Because that's the kind of husband you are. That night, Alexander made a phone call. Dad, it's Alexander. Isabella looked up from her book, surprised. Alexander barely spoke to his father, Edmund Knight, who'd retired to Monaco years ago. I wanted to tell you you're going to be a grandfather. Yes, I got married. No, you didn't know about her because I was protecting her privacy. Her name is Isabella. She's an entrepreneur. Dad, I'm not asking for your approval. I'm informing you. Actually, I am calling for advice. How do I not screw this up? Being a father. Isabella couldn't hear Edmund's response, but she saw Alexander's shoulders relax. You did? I never knew that. Really? Thanks, Dad. That helps. After he hung up, Isabella asked, What did he say? That he was terrified when I was born. That he read 15 parenting books and still felt unprepared. That the secret is just showing up and loving them, even when you get it wrong. See, you're already ahead because you're asking questions. 3 months in, Isabella's morning sickness finally subsided. She also started showing, just a small bump but undeniable. Alexander was obsessed with it, constantly touching it, talking to it, reading to it. You know the baby can't hear you yet, she said one evening, as he read Forbes to her stomach. Early financial education is important. You're reading stock reports to a fetus. Our child will be well informed. Our child will think the opening bell is a lullaby. Their proper wedding was planned for after the baby was born, but Eleanor insisted on throwing them an engagement party to properly introduce Isabella to society. Do we have to? Isabella groaned. Yes, Alexander said. 1 night of playing nice with my mother's friends and then we're free. Define playing nice. Smile, make small talk, let them condescend to you, then come home and we'll laugh about it. Sold. The party was at the Knight estate. 200 of New York's elite gathered to inspect Alexander's mysterious bride. Isabella wore a dress she'd designed herself, empire waisted to accommodate her growing bump. You look stunning, Alexander said as they arrived. I look pregnant. Stunningly pregnant. Eleanor greeted them at the door. Isabella, you look lovely. Is that one of your designs? It is. I want one. In navy. Have your assistant send me the details. I don't have an assistant. Get one. You're a knight now, we have people. The party was exactly as uncomfortable as Isabella expected. Well-meaning women asked invasive questions about the pregnancy, the wedding, how she'd caught Alexander. Men looked at her like a puzzle they couldn't solve. She didn't fit their understanding of what a billionaire's wife should be. So you're a graphic designer? One woman asked, making it sound like she'd said circus performer. I own a design firm, yes. How quaint. A working wife. A working woman who happens to be married, yes. And you met at a wedding. How romantic. My ex-boyfriend's wedding, actually. The woman's eyes widened with delicious scandal. Oh my. I went for closure, found Alexander instead. Best decision I ever made. Across the room, Victoria appeared. Isabella hadn't known she'd be there. That's awkward, Marcus muttered, suddenly at Isabella's elbow. Is it? She's part of this world. Of course Eleanor invited her. You're taking this very calmly. Why wouldn't I? I'm the one who married him. Victoria approached, and the women around them suddenly found reasons to drift away. Isabella, Victoria said coolly. Victoria. You're showing. 4 months tomorrow. Congratulations. Thank you. They stood in awkward silence until Victoria said, I owe you an apology. You don't. I do. What I said at that meeting, trying to manipulate the board, it was beneath me. I was hurt and acting out. Victoria, I loved Alexander, in my way. But you were right. I loved the idea of him, the life he represented. I didn't love him. Have you found it? Real love? Victoria smiled, and it was genuine. Actually, yes. My therapist. We've been seeing each other for 2 months. Your therapist? I know, all the ethical violations, but he referred me to a colleague and then asked me to dinner. Turns out someone who actually listens to you is attractive. Who knew? Isabella found herself laughing. I'm happy for you. Are you? Really? Really. You deserve someone who sees you. So do you. And apparently you found him. Victoria looked across the room to where Alexander was watching them with concern. He never looked at me the way he looks at you. How does he look at me? Like you're the sun, and he's been in darkness for years. After Victoria walked away, Alexander immediately came over. Everything okay? Everything's fine, she apologized. Victoria apologized? She's dating her therapist. That seems ethically questionable. That's what I thought, but apparently he referred her to someone else first. Good for her, I suppose. You're not jealous? Of her therapist? No. I have you. The party continued, and gradually Isabella relaxed. These people were just people, their money and status just trappings. Some were kind, some were awful. Most were just trying to figure out where she fit in their world. She doesn't fit, she heard someone whisper. That's the point, she's real. She's... Near the end of the evening, Eleanor clinked her glass for attention. I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate my son's marriage to Isabella. When Alexander first told me about her, I had concerns. Isabella felt Alexander tense beside her. But watching them together these past months has reminded me what marriage should be. My late husband used to say that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone perfectly imperfect for you. Isabella is exactly that for Alexander. She challenges him, grounds him, makes him laugh. She's turning my son back into a human being instead of a corporation. For that alone, I would welcome her into our family. But she's also kind, intelligent, and brave enough to wear her own designs to a party where everyone else is in designer labels. The room laughed. Welcome to the family, Isabella. We're lucky to have you. As everyone raised their glasses, Alexander whispered, Did my mother just publicly claim you? I think she did. She never publicly claimed Victoria. I'm not Victoria. Thank God for that. 5 months pregnant, Isabella was glowing. She'd also become a minor celebrity. Her design firm had exploded. She'd been featured in 3 magazines, and she'd started a blog about navigating high society while staying true to yourself. "You're famous," Sophie said during a video call. "I'm infamous." "You're inspiring. Do you know how many messages I've gotten asking about you? Everyone wants to know the woman who got the ghost of Wall Street to smile." "I didn't get him to smile. I just gave him reasons to." Same thing, better marketing. Speaking of which, when are we doing maternity photos? Do we have to? Yes. You're pregnant, married to a billionaire, and literally glowing. We need to document this. The photo shoot was at Alexander's insistence, in their penthouse with natural light and simple styling. "I want to remember this," he said. "How you look right now, carrying our child, happy." "I look like I swallowed a basketball." "You look like a miracle." 6 months in, they found out they were having a girl. "A daughter," Alexander breathed, staring at the ultrasound images. "We're having a daughter." "Are you disappointed?" "I know men sometimes want. I'm terrified. Girls are complicated." "And boys aren't?" "I don't know how to raise a girl." "You don't know how to raise a boy either. We'll figure it out together." That night, Alexander went into full planning mode. He researched schools, neighborhoods, everything a daughter might need from birth through college. "Alexander, she's not even born yet. But she will be in 3 months. We need to be prepared. We have a nursery, clothes and diapers. We're prepared. We don't have a college fund. We have 3 months to set up a college fund." "What about her first car?" "She's literally fetal." Early planning is important. 7 months pregnant, Isabella was over it. Her feet hurt, her back ached, and she couldn't see her toes. "I'm never having sex again," she announced. "You said that last week. This time I mean it. You also said that last week. This time I really mean it. Look at me. I'm a whale. You're beautiful. I'm huge. Hugely beautiful. That's not a thing. It is now." Despite her complaints, Isabella was happy. Deeply, impossibly happy. She watched Alexander transform from the cold businessman she'd met at that wedding into a man who built cribs at 2 a.m. and cried during diaper commercials. "You're going to be an amazing father," she told him one night. "How do you know?" "Because you're already talking to her, reading to her, protecting her, and she's not even born. I can't wait to meet her. 2 more months. Too long." At 8 months, they finally settled on a name, Sophia Eleanor Knight, after Alexander's grandmother and his mother. "Mom cried when I told her," Alexander reported. "Happy tears. She said, and I quote, 'You're finally becoming a man your father would be proud of.' That's beautiful." Then she said, "Don't mess it up." Also very her. The baby shower was overwhelming. Eleanor had invited half of New York, and Isabella's small group of friends was vastly outnumbered by society women. "This is intense," Sophie whispered. "This is Eleanor showing me off like a prize." "You are a prize. You landed Alexander Knight." "I didn't land him. We found each other." "Same thing. Worse marketing," Victoria attended, bringing a handmade quilt her therapist boyfriend's mother had made. "It's beautiful," Isabella said, genuinely touched. "I wanted to bring something real, not just expensive. This is perfect, thank you." "How are you feeling?" "Enormous, exhausted, excited, terrified." "That sounds normal." "You've been researching pregnancy?" "I'm thinking about it. James and I are serious." "James is the therapist?" "Dr. James Morrison, yes, he's wonderful. Nothing like Alexander. Quieter, steadier. But he sees me. I'm genuinely happy for you." "I'm happy for you too. You deserve this. The love, the baby, all of it." At 36 weeks, Isabella's water broke during a business dinner. One moment she was discussing a client proposal. The next, she was soaking wet and panicking. Oh God, it's too early." "It's fine," Alexander said, already on his phone. 4 weeks early is fine. Marcus, call the hospital. Tell them we're on the way." The hospital room was chaos. Nurses rushed around, monitors beeped, and Isabella gripped Alexander's hand hard enough to leave marks. "You're doing great," he said, though his face was pale. "I'm not doing anything yet. This is just early labor. You're breathing. That's great. Alexander, if you don't stop hovering, I'll stop hovering. I'll just be here, quietly, in the background." He lasted approximately 45 seconds before asking the nurse another question about dilation. "Mr. Knight," the nurse said patiently, "your wife is at 3 centimeters. We have hours to go. You might want to sit down before you pass out." "I don't pass out." All fathers say that. 12 hours later, Alexander had been relegated to a chair after nearly fainting twice. Isabella was at 8 centimeters and questioning every decision that had led to this moment. "Never again," she panted between contractions. "You said that when you were 7 months pregnant." "This time I mean it. You said that too." "Alexander Knight, I swear." Another contraction hit, and Alexander was up, holding her hand, coaching her breathing like they'd practiced. "You're amazing," he said. "I'm going to murder you." After the baby. During and after. At hour 14, Dr. Sarah Chen, no relation to Victoria, announced it was time to push. "I can't," Isabella said, exhausted beyond measure. "You can," Alexander said firmly. "You stood up to a boardroom full of billionaires. You can do this." That was easier. That's debatable. 3 pushes later, at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, Sophia Eleanor Knight entered the world, screaming her displeasure at the brightness and cold. "She's perfect," Alexander breathed, tears streaming down his face as the nurse placed their daughter on Isabella's chest. "She's so small," Isabella sobbed, holding their baby for the first time. "She's so perfect." Sophia had Alexander's dark hair and what would clearly be his blue eyes, but she had Isabella's nose and chin. She was red and wrinkled and screaming, and she was absolutely perfect. "Hi, baby girl," Isabella whispered. "We've been waiting for you." Alexander's hand covered both of theirs, his whole world contained in this moment. "Thank you," he said to Isabella. "For what?" "For crashing into my life. For saying yes, for this, for her, for everything. For her. For..." The next few weeks were a blur of sleepless nights, endless diapers, and a love so fierce it was terrifying. Alexander threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he'd once reserved for business deals. He changed diapers, did midnight feedings, sang off-key lullabies at 3 a.m. "You're going to spoil her," Isabella said, watching him rock Sophia for the 3rd hour straight. "That's the plan. She needs to learn to self-soothe. She's 6 weeks old. She can learn that later." "Alexander, I missed the pregnancy reveal, almost missed the birth because I was terrified. I'm not missing anything else." Marcus visited 2 weeks in, finding Alexander in pajama pants and a spit-up-stained t-shirt, looking exhausted but happier than Marcus had ever seen him. "You look terrible," Marcus observed. "I look like a father." "Same thing." "How's Isabella?" "Amazing, exhausted, keeping me sane." "And the little princess?" At the mention, Alexander's whole face transformed. "Want to meet her?" Sophia was sleeping in her bassinet, tiny fists curled near her face. Marcus stared down at her, his expression softening. "She's so small." 5 pounds, 7 ounces at birth, up to 6 pounds now. "She has your nose." "Thank God. Isabella's is much better." "Heard that?" Isabella called from the bedroom. "You were meant to." When Sophia was 2 months old, they finally had their proper wedding ceremony. It was smaller than Eleanor had wanted, just family and close friends in the Knight Estate gardens. Isabella wore a flowing white gown that accommodated nursing. Sophia slept through most of it in her grandmother's arms. "Do you, Alexander James Knight, take Isabella Rose Knight to be your wife again?" "I do, forever this time." "You said forever last time," Isabella pointed out. "This time I understand what forever means." When they kissed, Sophia woke up and started crying, making everyone laugh. "Even your daughter is telling you to get a room," Marcus called out. "This is our wedding." Details. The reception was perfect, dancing under the stars. speeches that made everyone cry, and Alexander refusing to put Sophia down for more than 5 minutes at a time. "You can let other people hold her," Isabella said. "But why would I? Because I'd like to dance with my husband?" He handed Sophia to Eleanor reluctantly and led Isabella to the dance floor. "This is familiar," Isabella said as they swayed. "Dancing with you? Yes. Being this happy? No. Not even at our City Hall wedding? That was panic joy. This is everything joy. Everything joy isn't a thing. It is now." They danced, and Isabella thought about that night at Marcus's wedding. How invisible she'd felt. How Alexander had seen her anyway. How one dance had led to this, a marriage, a baby, a life she'd never imagined. "What are you thinking?" Alexander asked. "That I'm glad Marcus invited me to that wedding." "He didn't. You invited yourself, remember?" "Oh, right. Closure. Found something better?" "Found everything." 3 months later, Isabella's design firm had grown to 15 employees. She worked from home most days, Sophia in a bassinet beside her desk. Alexander had restructured his company to allow more work from home time, claiming he needed to supervise the baby. "You just want to hold her," Isabella accused. "Can you blame me?" Victoria's wedding was that spring. She married Dr. James Morrison in a small ceremony that was everything her first almost wedding to Alexander hadn't been. Intimate, real, full of genuine emotion. "You came," Victoria said when she saw Isabella and Alexander. "Of course we came," Isabella replied, Sophia sleeping in her carrier. "You invited us." "I wasn't sure you would." "Victoria, you're not my enemy. You never were." "I tried to be." "You tried to hold on to something that wasn't yours anymore. I understand that." Victoria looked at Alexander, who was adjusting Sophia's blanket. "You look happy." "I am. Genuinely, completely happy." "Good. You deserve it." She turned to Isabella. "Both of you." At the reception, Isabella found herself in a familiar position, standing at a wedding, watching couples dance. But this time, she wasn't alone and ignored. This time, Alexander appeared beside her. "Dance with me? Where have I heard that before? From a desperate billionaire who couldn't look away from you." "Desperate. Completely. Still am." They danced, Sophia sleeping against Alexander's chest in a carrier, the three of them swaying together. "This is impractical," Isabella said. "This is perfect. We're teaching her bad dancing habits. We're teaching her that family dances together." Other guests watched them with soft smiles, the billionaire, his wife and their baby, dancing like they were the only people in the room. "Can I tell you a secret?" Alexander whispered. "Always. I'm glad Marcus married someone else." "Alexander!" "Not because I don't like Penelope. She's fine. But because if he'd married you, I never would have found you at that wedding." "You don't know that. Maybe we would have met somewhere else. Maybe. But I like our story better. The story where I crashed my ex's wedding and you asked me to dance. The story where you were brave enough to show up and I was brave enough to see you." 6 months after Sophia was born, Isabella discovered she was pregnant again. Again? Alexander was delighted and terrified in equal measure. "Apparently, fertility runs in my family." "How far along?" "About 8 weeks. So Sophia will have a sibling. Irish twins, practically. We need a bigger place. We live in a penthouse. A bigger penthouse with more rooms and a yard. Do they make penthouses with yards?" "Alexander. Or we could get a house in Connecticut with actual grass." "You hate Connecticut." "I love you more than I hate Connecticut." They ended up buying a brownstone in Brooklyn, close enough to the city for business, but with actual outdoor space for the kids. "Kids, plural," Isabella said, standing in their new backyard. "We're going to have kids." Terrifying. Exciting. Both. Their son, James Marcus Knight, was born 10 months after Sophia, an easier delivery but no less overwhelming. 2 under 2, Eleanor said, visiting them in the hospital. You're either very brave or very foolish. Definitely foolish, Alexander said, holding James while Sophia toddled around the room. But happy, Eleanor observed. Impossibly happy. 2 years after that night at the wedding, Isabella stood in their Brooklyn backyard, watching Alexander push Sophia on the swing while James tottered around with a soccer ball. Her design firm was thriving, Alexander's company had doubled in value, and they were drowning in the beautiful chaos of toddlerhood. "Mommy," Sophia called, "watch me go high." "I'm watching, baby." Alexander caught her eye across the yard and mouthed, "I love you." She mouthed back, "I know." That evening, after both kids were finally asleep, they collapsed on the couch. "Remember when we used to sleep?" Isabella asked. "Vaguely. Remember when we used to have uninterrupted conversations? Myths. Remember when—" Sophia's cry came through the monitor, followed quickly by James's. "I'll get them," Alexander said. "I'll come with you." They climbed the stairs together, ready for another night of tag-team parenting. In Sophia's room, Alexander picked her up, while Isabella grabbed James. "Bad dream?" Alexander asked Sophia. "Scared of dark? Should we turn on your nightlight?" "And story. Need story." So they sat, Alexander in the rocking chair with Sophia, Isabella on the floor with James, both kids fighting sleep, both parents exhausted beyond measure. "Tell us how you met," Sophia demanded. It was her favorite story. "Again?" Alexander asked. "Again?" "Well," Isabella began, "Daddy was at a wedding, and Mommy was sad," Sophia continued. "Not sad," Isabella corrected, "just ready for something new. And Daddy saw her and knew she was special," Alexander added. "Like magic," Sophia said. "Like magic," Alexander agreed, meeting Isabella's eyes over their daughter's head. After the kids were finally truly asleep, they stood in the doorway, watching their children breathe. "No regrets?" Isabella asked their traditional question. "Only one," Alexander said. "What?" "That I didn't ask you to dance sooner. You didn't know I existed sooner. I should have. Somehow I should have found you earlier. We found each other exactly when we were supposed to. At your ex's wedding. At Marcus's wedding. While everyone was ignoring you. Until you didn't. Best decision I ever made. Asking me to dance. Seeing you in the first place." They headed to their own bedroom, knowing they had maybe 4 hours before one or both kids would wake again. As they settled into bed, Isabella's head on Alexander's chest, she thought about that night at the wedding. How invisible she'd felt. How Marcus's rejection had seemed like the end of her love story. Instead, it had been the beginning. "Alexander?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me when no one else did." "Bella, you're impossible to miss. You're just surrounded by blind people." "That's very sweet. That's very true. I love you. I love you more." "Not possible." "Want to bet?" "How would we even measure that?" "I'd move mountains for you." "I gave you 2 children. Fair point. You win." "I always win." "Yes, you do." 5 years after that night at the wedding, they attended Marcus and Penelope's anniversary party. The venue was familiar, the same gardens where it had all started. "This is weird," Isabella said. Being back here happy." "You weren't happy that night." "I was miserable, invisible, ready to give up on love entirely. And then a stranger asked me to dance. Not a stranger, your future husband." "I didn't know that then." "Didn't you? Even a little?" Isabella thought about it. "Maybe. There was something about the way you looked at me. Like you were the sun, and I'd been in darkness for years." "Victoria told you she said that?" "She sent it in a card, wedding present." "That's surprisingly sweet. She's with someone who sees her now, makes people generous." Marcus approached them, Penelope on his arm, both looking happy and settled. "Thanks for coming," Marcus said. "Thanks for getting married," Alexander replied. "Changed my whole life." How do you figure? If you hadn't married Penelope, Isabella wouldn't have been here, I wouldn't have met her. So really you owe me everything, Marcus joked. Really, I owe fate everything. You were just the venue. Penelope laughed. He's not wrong, though I like to think we played a small part in your love story. The setting, Isabella agreed, the beautiful, important setting. As the evening continued, Isabella found herself back at that same table where she'd sat alone 5 years ago. This time, Alexander sat beside her, their kids running around with other children, their life full and rich and nothing like that lonely night. "What are you thinking?" Alexander asked. "That I should write Marcus a thank you note." "For what?" "For being just enough of a jerk to invite me to his wedding, for giving me closure that led to opening, for this, for us, for everything." They watched their children play, hands linked on the table exactly where they were meant to be. "No regrets?" Alexander asked. "Not a single one. Not even the morning sickness, the sleepless nights, the terrible 2s, times 2? Especially not those. They're proof that this is real." "It's real," Alexander confirmed. "More real than anything I've ever known. Even your billions. The billions are just numbers. You're everything that counts." As the sun set over the gardens, as their children laughed and played, as the world continued spinning, Alexander pulled Isabella to her feet. "Dance with me. Again. Always." And they danced, right there in the garden where it had all begun. Two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way and built something beautiful from a single brave moment. The ignored girl at the wedding and the billionaire who saw her. The beginning of everything. If this continuation touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more stories of second chances and unexpected love. Share in the comments, have you ever found love when you least expected it? Remember, sometimes being ignored is just the universe clearing the way for the person who will truly see you. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more emotional romance stories.